Perfect. So Realxdata is a company we founded back in 2016. As said, I think we have some similarities to Chaos, which we just have seen, which I'm going to point out. I think we have a slightly different approach in terms of customer groups. So our product really focuses on the financial performance of real estate assets. So our user groups are mostly coming from the sectors of banks, investors and asset managers, but also consultants who are involved in large-scale real estate transactions. The similarities are that we are also leveraging a lot of data, and that we are seeing a very high demand in more data-driven decision and processes in the real estate industry. As said, we are mostly a technology company, which is also being reflected in the team structure itself. So tons of backend developers, data scientists, geoinformatics, as we also just have seen. So it's a lot about geocoding data, tying data and numbers to specific locations in order to assess them on a quantitative level. As said, we have two offices, one in Spain and Barcelona, and one here in Berlin. We're 4 co-founders. Daniel, as I said, I'm mostly responsible for the product, but also fundraising. We are a VC-backed company with venture capital firms from Berlin and France, Paris, actually. 2 of my colleagues are coming from the real estate industry itself, who have been working for consultancies and investors and funds. And our CTO, Iñaki, who has been working for a French bank, but also for a Spanish bank, but also for the Spanish postal office. A similarity, as I said, to Chaos. So we are also aggregating tons of data. So we have multiple or tons of data sources which we are actively sourcing data from. So it could be sources which is rather unstructured data, which we are automatically extracting. We are using and applying APIs to the local authorities to get data from these. We have partnerships, for example, where we are sourcing social demographic data from, but also rather qualitative information. So something like deal news, which is more like a press clipping, where you get some insights on your competition and market activity in specific locations. I will give you a quick demo of the platform in a second, so you're gonna see it really in action. Besides this, and I think this is also a big difference, and probably also our kind of unique selling proposition. We are not, as you have seen in this slide on the upper part, we're not just aggregating and sourcing third-party data, but we are also helping you as a user, as a Realxdata customer, to structure and extract data from your Excel files. As I said in the very beginning, we are focusing on the income side, on the financial performance of real estate assets. So a lot of the relevant data our users are handling is stored in Excel files, which have different structures, different formats. So it's really a pain for them, and it takes a lot of time to standardize the data in order to apply, for example, cash flow models, financial modeling in general. And this is something where we're helping them. So it's a specific file. It's called rent rolls, which might have been used by some of you. And we have developed a technology which allows us to automatically detect the data within these files, to extract the data, but also to do logical checks within the data, to search for potential errors and faults in the data. And then it's something we are giving back to you as a feedback. So as a user, so you're saving a lot of time in analyzing this data. And on top of this, we have built a BI technology, so you can assess the data within our platform. It's mostly dashboards, lists, a lot of filters and maps, as you can imagine. And then around this, we are saying we are enriching your data, so we are adding third-party data to your own data we have seen before, so social demographic data, financial benchmarks, legal restrictions which might apply to residential markets, for example, in order to give you the full picture of a potential investment and your portfolio you currently have under management, in order to assess this portfolio. One point which is probably worth to point out here, we're not only focusing on residential real estate, but also commercial real estate. So whether it's offices or retail, it's also data we are analyzing, and also data for which we enriching your data set by specific data which is needed in order to give you a full picture here. So we have different use cases for this. As said, we have customers coming from banks, from investors, asset managers, but also brokers, consultants. Here's, for example, a acquisition pipeline. So let's imagine you're an investor, you're receiving tons of potential deals people are offering to you, and you need to quickly analyze whether a potential investment is interesting for you based on your investment strategy, but also based on financial KPIs, on the specific location characteristics. This is something where we are supporting. So we are automatically, again, structuring the data, making the data set accessible within the platform. You can share it with your colleagues, you can share it with a investment committee, but you can also analyze the specific markets in which these assets are located. Doing so, we are applying different technologies to really automate and standardize the process in terms of data extraction, which is a machine learning based technology. So we have currently around 75,000 buildings on our platform, which our users have put on there. So this machine learning technology has been evolving a lot in the last years based on the amount of data which we automatically have put on our platform. And also in terms of benchmarking your own portfolio to market data, we are applying several automated prediction and valuation technologies here. As said, we also have built on top of this a very easy to use business intelligence, which I'm going to show it to you, so to make this data accessible within the platform itself. Some contact details, which we can also share later. So I'm going to jump back to Chrome. So you should be seeing the platform now. As said, the platform itself works globally, so we can extract data from any kind of rent rolls. We have customers who are financing hotels on the Maldives and office buildings in Chicago. All of this is working within our platform. It's very intuitive to use. So what we're now seeing here is a BI solution which is based on your own data. So could be deals you're analyzing, could be a portfolio you're financing as a bank, could be portfolios you're trading as a consultant. If you're interested in specific parts of your portfolio, it's just very easy to use. You can just click, for example, on a country, and the overall dashboard gets updated. The data set in the background gets filtered by your clicks here. So let's assume you're only interested in your German office portfolio and your overall data set. It takes you 2 clicks to get to this level of analysis. And we have customers who have several thousands of assets on this platform, times 50 to 60 units per building. So really big data sets, which cannot be handled in Excel anymore, because they just expand or extend the number of rows within Excel, which you can analyze. I will just go or run through it very quickly. If you are interested in a more detailed and elaborated demo, I'm always happy to give you one. Just give me a call or send me an email afterwards. As said, I mean, this is the highest level of aggregation, which we just have seen on portfolio level. We have multiple analytics and tons of filters available on asset level. So all of the assets in a list form you can access here. The analytics, which you just have seen on portfolio level, we also have available on assets, so on building level itself. So similar usability as you can see here. We have data rooms connected if you are within a transaction. So in this case, it's Rooms, one of our partners. So if you want to analyze the underlying documents, so certificates, contracts, and so on, you can directly access them via the API to Rooms. And one more thing I wanted to point out here is already the so-called enrichment of data. Yeah? So you as a user provided us with the data of this specific building, and we geocoded the address of this building. And in doing so, we can tell you that, for example, this building is not located in a so-called redevelopment area, but in a social protected area, in a preservation area here, which means there are specific legal implications for this building, which are set by the authorities, and usually it takes you a lot of time to figure this out, because you have to go to rather not so nice to use platforms from local authorities to access PDF files to check whether these buildings are within those areas. And if you're analyzing a deal which consists of 10 to 50 assets, this really can be a pain in the ass. Besides this, as I was mentioning in the beginning, similar to Chaos, we also have a market analytics, market data solution. What you can see here now is these clusters which represent your own buildings, so data you have connected to the platform, and you can see your own buildings compared to market data here, right? So if we just as an example jump into Berlin, you can see here on the left side some controls in order to assess and control the data which we're showing on the map. So you can, for example, switch between office and residential, between asking rents, some other KPIs. Here you can again see your own buildings and some data and some KPIs on a quick glance here. And then if you're interested for a specific area, you can just click into the area and see a analytics tab here on the right side, where we have different attributes, different KPIs. As said, I think we are slightly more focused on the financial performance of real estate assets here. So you can see, for example, the historic rent development of the specific area. And as Natalia also pointed out, it's always about the relative comparison, right? So you want to know whether this specific area is performing better than other areas within the city, which you can see here. So you can see that this very central district is performing rather better than the overall city. Besides this, we are also tracking a lot of metadata. So we are, for example, checking how long are actually offers being listed on the listing platforms. So the platforms where you are looking for example, an apartment or an office to buy or rent, which is a very good indicator for the demand. So actually the days on market vary a lot. If you go to rather suburban areas which are not growing in terms of population, you can easily see that apartments are on the market for half a year, which is could be a big issue if you're buying a residential portfolio in such areas and try to increase the value of these. We have some more data available here, so you can go even one level lower and see the underlying data, so really like comparables. So you can see what kind of data is going into our calculations. As said, we have a rather qualitative news section here, which gives you a feeling on what is happening in the market. You can see how your competition is doing. You can actually assess the underlying news clipping itself. So you see now that we're on a different domain, and you can see the text here regarding this transaction. Actually, we have social demographic data available. Very important, I think, to really analyze and assess markets. So different analytics here. I won't go into details now. I think it's something which you know very well, probably using data already. Points of interest, also something in order to assess the attractiveness of a specific location. So and how are we rating the area itself, putting in a lot of data, comparing those locations to other locations, distances to major points of interest in this term, and in this case, logistic or infrastructure. But also you are able to really drill down and, for example, check the number of hotels, filter for specific points of interest here. few last things, points, or the public law as said. Also, you can, for example, assess development plans. Here's the information we are getting from the local authorities. You can actually even, for specific areas, go into the, jump straight into the development plans itself. Again, something, it's data which is currently already being used by our customers, but it's just takes a lot of time to source and research this data itself. So it's something where we are getting or taking you away from doing the research itself. Two more things I want to point out. So one thing is that the areas itself, which you're seeing here, are pretty big. So it still might be a bit vague for you to analyze. So you can drill down actually the size of the areas here on the left. As you can see, it's reloading now. 1 second. Which means that the size of the areas, as you can see now, is being reduced. So actually, the level of analysis is way more detailed now. So it allows you for a way more specific and precise analysis here. One last thing, also, I think we have some similarities, and would be really nice to also exchange with the team from Chaos on how they are approaching some challenges here. We also have similar analytics on, for example, rental affordability. So we are comparing the free income of the population within specific areas to actually the rental prices, for example. So it shows you how much of your salary are you actually giving away for your rent, and which might be areas which are already on the limit, and where are areas where at least potentially there's still some room for rent growth, development of population. So where do you actually have growing population and so on. So similar analytics to what we have seen before. I want to keep it, so I will keep it short here. I'm very happy to answer questions and give you a more detailed demo if you're interested in the more specific use cases. Thanks.